5 Stars on Game Day One is brought to you by Veolia. Be sure to click on to veolia.us to learn more about their conservation program today to learn how to save money and save water.
We have officially reached the 2025 portion of our 24-25 basketball season, and we are now ready to hand out this week's 5 stars. On the boys basketball side, brought to you by Veolia. I want to thank our friends at Veolia for sponsoring this segment every single week. And this week's going to be, encompassing really the last 2 weeks, and a big majority of that is going to be what happened at the Slam Dunk. Great weekend this past weekend. Want to thank Westchester County Parks and their crew, obviously Stepinac as well, for inviting and having Local Live be your broadcast partner on all 9 games this weekend. A lot of fun, got to enjoy it, and got to learn a lot about some teams. This week's 5 stars is going to have a bit of a heavy point guard flavor to it. And we start with the point guard, I think, that walking away, looking back in the tournament, that one of the guys that really stood out to me was Brandon Burrell of Mamaroneck. Yes, obviously, Will Plunkett gets a lot of the attention for just the dirty work he does inside, how strong and physical he is inside. And of course, in this game, Elijah Friedman hit 5 3-pointers, was the player of the game MVP. But Brandon Burrell, looking back and watching the game back this past weekend, you realize just what he does to create everything that goes on in this Mamaroneck offense, and they're 10-0. Burell goes out in this game, follows up a huge tournament last weekend in Williamsport that Mamaroneck won. He had 14 points, 6 assists, only 1 turnover in the 64-50 win over Rye. He made all the big plays down the stretch. Rye made a bit of a run in the second half, and he just kept pushing them back. He was so good defensively. Really, really talented player he is as a junior point guard. 22 points, 5 rebounds in their first game of the tournament in Williamsport, and then he had 10 and 6 assists in the second game. He was all tournament, and Brandon Burrell is going to have a big second half of the season for Mamaroneck team that's still undefeated, 10-0. Next man from the Slam Dunk on one of our 5 stars is Aaron Woodberry, the junior. If you didn't know about Aaron Woodberry coming in, obviously Eric Woodberry, his older brother, last year was a star of the Woodlands team that went to the state Final Four. Aaron Woodberry is the next guy, just happens to be the kid brother, and I joke with him, I said, you're no longer Eric's brother, you're Aaron, and you are your own man, and he was terrific in the win on Friday night as Woodlands took down Peekskill in a matchup of defending Section 1 champions. Woodberry, 24 points, and it's not just, 24 points is obviously a lot of points, but just the way he scored, shooting over defenders. I mean, Peekskill did a good job on him defensively for a good portion of this game. Didn't matter. Woodberry was just that good. Our next player in our 5 stars, let's go away from the County Center for a week. Team that was at the County Center 2 weeks ago, that is Briarcliff. Our next 5-star member is Luke Lawler. Luke Lawler, big game, Briarcliff's only game since the Hackley game in the Plunkett tournament at the County Center. He goes for 32 points and 11 rebounds in a win over Croton Harmon at home. Luke Lawler was terrific. And of course, after the game, he got a great interview with the crew at Briarcliff, who does the Local Live games. Lucas Kovachenko and John Gershman, and they do such an amazing job, those 2 guys, of kind of taking the keys of the Local Live broadcasting every single game, doing play-by-play and color commentating. We really appreciate those guys. So they'll share the 5 stars this week with our man Luke. Next up in our 5 stars, Tavon Tyler. Now, Mount Vernon played their last 3 games on the road in Long Island. They played 2 games at St. Dominic's, and then they played, that was a week and a half ago, then this past weekend on Sunday, they played Holy Trinity. They swept all 3 games, beat Hill House out of Connecticut, beat St. Joe's out of New Jersey, and then they beat Holy Trinity from the Catholic League in Long Island. Tavon Tyler was at the center of it all. 26 points in the win over St. Joe's. He had 22 in the win over Hill House. And then on Sunday, only needed to score 12 points because they won that game running away. They won 78-50 over Holy Trinity, which is a very talented program in the Catholic League on Long Island. It says a lot about Mount Vernon. So Mount Vernon is kind of continue to improve. The blemish they have on their record against Arlington, long gone. Mount Vernon is still the top team to beat in the Class AAA. And the team to beat in the Catholic League is our last member of the 5 stars, from Stepinac. You could go up and down the roster, up and down the row. When I asked my daughter Daria, we went to the game on, whole family went to the game on Saturday night. I said to her, what player at the Slam Dunk impressed you the most? Who did you walk away thinking was the best player? She's 11 years old. She said, Dad, it's not even close. It's Danny Carbuccia. And I said, well, he only had 9 points. And she said to me, she goes, you always tell me that it's more than just scoring. She goes, what he did in the game, and just the way he maneuvers, the way he set things up, the point guard feel that we have from the Slam Dunk, Danny Carbuccia is the best point guard in this area by a long shot. And he was terrific in the win over Iona Prep. 9 points, 9 assists. All of the assists seem to be just gorgeous passes leading to open baskets. He was really the most impressive player I think, as well. Looking back, my daughter's right. Danny Carbuccia is our final member of our 5 stars. Really 2 weeks in this area. Obviously, Jay Sussberg of Scarsdale was really good. And, of course, Anthony Figueroa. Those 2 guys are going to be in the mix every single week. Zach Boy Riven of Horace Greeley. We're also honored to mention this week in the 5 stars. A whole lot of basketball coming this week. Be sure to follow on Local Live and on Game Day One. And we'll see you next week.